In the previous lecture, you understand how you can handle different exceptions using Python program. You also understand how you can use inheritance to use the feature of the superclass. Now, let's take a look at what is method overloading. You know that using inheritance, we access the attributes and methods of the superclass using the instance of the parent class. Now, let's take a look at how to use method overloading in Python classes. Now, let's take a look at a very simple example to understand how method overloading works. So, let's take a look at a very simple example. Here, I'm going to create a class and I'm going to name this class A. Then I'm going to specify colon like this. And just after that, I'm going to just define a method here. So here I'm going to say define and then specify name for this method. And I'm going to say here load. Just after that, in this load, I'm going to just print a simple message. Here I'm going to say class A method. Now, just after that, just down here, I'm going to create class B. And I'm going to just inherit this A class. So I'm going to just inherit this A class using this B class. So here I'm going to specify parenthesis, and in this parenthesis, I'm going to call the name of the class A, just like this. Specify colon, and in this class, I'm going to just specify pass keyword. I don't want to add any code inside this class, so I'm going to say here pass. We already learned how to use pass statement in the Python. Now, just for that, right down here, I'm going to create a simple object. So here I'm going to first create object of the A class. So here I'm going to say A equal to A. And then I'm going to say B equal to B. So I'm going to create an instance of both these objects. In the inheritance lecture, you understand how you can access the methods and attribute of the superclass using the derived class. So let me show you how you can access this load method using this B class. So down here, I'm going to first call this load method using this A class. So here I'm going to say a.load. And then I'm going to execute this file. I'm going to have class A method. Then let me just call this method using this B class. As you know, using inheritance, you can call the method and attribute of the superclass very easily. So here I'm going to say b.load. When I execute this file, you can notice I'm going to have class A method. Now you can notice I can access this method using both instances because I have here inheritance. Now when I call this load method, you can notice I'm going to have the same message, class A method, because we did not implemented a load method in B class. B does not define a load method of its own. The original message is printed when load is called. You may want to customize the inherited behavior by overriding some of the superclasses methods. For example, is it possible for B to override the load method of A class? Yes, it is. By using method overloading, you can customize the method in the child class. So in this case, I want to just override this method. I want to override this load method and want to change this output. So to do that, I'm going to just simply implement the same method in class B. So here I'm going to say define and then call load method. You can notice I have the same name to this method. And now I'm going to just print here class B method, just like this. When I execute this file, you can notice the difference of the result. When I execute this file, I'm going to have different result. You can notice I have class A method and class B method. So now this statement is going to call this method instead of calling this method. So I'm going to just override this method using this load method. Method overloading is very helpful when you want to customize the superclass method. So here I want to change and customize this load method of this superclass. So I just call the same name in this B class and then specify my own customization in this method. When you remove this method right from here, it's going to call this method. To customize your method in the superclass, you need to specify the same name of the method in the derived class. Using that, you can override the method of the superclass very easily. Now, let me just create one more class here just after this B. Right here, I'm going to say class C, and then this class C is going to inherit this B class. So here I'm going to say B and then specify block for this class, and then I'm going to call this same method here. So I'm going to copy this method, specify that here, and instead of printing this message, I'm going to say here class C method. Now let me just create an instance of this class just like this, and then I'm going to call simple C dot load. When I execute this file, you can notice Now this C class is going to override both these methods. Now let me show you what happens if I remove this method from here. If I just remove it and specify here pass, let me just execute this program. This C class is going to call this B class method because we inherited this B class using this C class. So using method overloading, I'm going to just override, or you can say I'm going to just customize the superclass method. So here I'm going to say load and then specify my own customization. Now the superclass of this C is this B class and the superclass of this B is this A class. The question comes in, can I access the method of this A class using C? Yes, you can. Because as you can notice, the parent of this class is B and the parents of this B class is A. So if I remove both this method right from here, just like this, and when I specify here pass, and when I try to execute this file, then you can notice I can access this method using instance of both these classes. You can notice here I'm going to have a result class A method. To customize the superclass method, you just need to call the same name in the derived class, just like this, and specify your own customization. That's it. So this is how you can use method overloading in Python. Practice with this code to understand how inheritance and method overloading work in Python. That is all for now. I will see you in the next one.